Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome back to my sewing room and to my very first Friday sews. I'm not sure why I haven't been doing these. I've been watching a lot of them recently, and I think they're a super cool way to share what you're working on and be able to engage with your audience. When you create or sew or do anything that takes substantial effort, it can be hard to get content out because there is so much space between starting a project and completing a project and getting it uploaded. And so I look forward to doing more of these videos. I hope to do them every Friday. Also, I thought it would be a great way for me to ask questions and get helps. A lot of times I share what I'm working on over on Instagram, which I will leave a link to, and I ask questions or opinions over there. And I do realize that a lot of you don't follow me over on Instagram, and so this will be a cool way for me to get help sometimes. So today I want to show you my patterns that have arrived this week, as well as what I've been working on, some resources I've gotten into recently, as well as some sewing channels I've found, and just kind of update you on what's going on here in the sewing room. So a few channel updates. I'm almost to 5,000 subscribers, which I'm really excited about. I know that's a relatively small number here on YouTube, but for me, it still feels special that people are interested in what I'm doing, considering the fact that I'm not an expert seamstress or sharing really cool tips or tutorials. It's just more of my sewing journey and what I am learning and experiencing along the way. So I'm really excited about that. I want to do my first live stream when I get to 5,000 subscribers, and I'm not even really sure what that looks like. So if you have any tips or tricks or thoughts about live streams, please feel free to share those in the comment box below. I actually wanted to get a small group of people together to join me on that first live stream so I don't feel so overwhelmed, and it would be more like a private live stream just for me and a few people who have been following me on this channel. So that's a thought and something that I'm thinking seriously about. We're probably a month or so away from 5K, so I got a little bit of time to worry about that. So moving on to the patterns that have arrived this week, I'm going to share all of those here with you now. And I'll also insert some footage of I've been working on organizing my entire vintage sewing pattern collection. It was so much more than what I thought it was. And so that was a project that I worked on yesterday, and it's almost complete. I'm hoping to upload that video on Sunday. So if you're interested in seeing me go through 150 sewing patterns, then yeah, be sure and come back here Saturday or Sunday for that video. So here's the first one. It's Simplicity 3320 from the 1950s. And I ordered it because I found this dress on alexandraridge.com that's almost $2,000. And so I wanted to recreate this dress at a really affordable price, and I needed the collar pattern piece for it. This next one is Butterick 3130, and it is a vintage reproduction pattern. It's from 1948. Well, the original pattern was from 1948, and I just love this skirt and off-the-shoulder top combo. It looks simple enough to make, but just really chic, and I bought all of those silks when I went on my shopping trip in Atlanta, and so I thought one of those would be really cool for this pattern. So these next couple of sewing patterns are from the 1930s. This one is an authentic sewing pattern from the 1930s, and the next couple will be reproductions. But I wasn't previously into the 1930s, but like I said, the silk fabrics that I picked up just really, to me, lean more towards a 1930s silhouette. And so this one is really cute. I like the top being untucked with the pleats in the skirt. I think it's just so cute. This one is a vintage reproduction from Lady Marlowe's sewing patterns, and I love the drape on this skirt and the knot. I'm excited to get more into these 1930s silhouettes. I think this is just so cute and so chic, and I think I have the perfect fabric for it. Next is also a vintage reproduction from Lady Marlowe, 1930s. I love the collar on this. I think it is so interesting. I don't know if I can make it or even pull it off wearing it, but it's just so cute. I love the jacket too. I'm excited for this one as well. I love Lady Marlowe's vintage reproduction patterns. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I like hers, and I always think the instructions are pretty easy to follow, and this is just a really cute silhouette on the skirt. and the collar on the bodice just makes it super interesting. And this is our last vintage reproduction from Lady Marlowe. Once again, another 1930s. I think the shoulders being cut out and then the ruffle is just so cute. The long flowy skirts, I do not know why I was not previously into the 1930s. They're so glamorous. And so I'm excited for this sewing pattern as well. Here is Simplicity 5107. It is from the 1950s. I really like the deep V of this sewing pattern. I don't know if I would make it with the blouse pattern that comes with it or not, but I thought it was so cute for a pinafore sewing pattern. And so I got it for a really good deal on eBay, so I picked it up. Bringing us to our last sewing pattern, it is McCall's 4923. It's from the 1950s, and I just love the gathering and the bow at the neck of this sewing pattern. And here is that footage of me organizing and putting all of my vintage sewing patterns into sleeves and putting them away. I ended up putting the ones I know I won't use soon in binders and then leaving out the ones that I know I want to sew soon. And it ended up being so many binders, and I can't wait for you all to see the process of going through over 150 vintage sewing patterns. So resources. Recently, I've started taking more advantage of my public library when it comes to books. I have been spending a lot of money on books, and it's not even just the money part, it's the storage part. My bookshelf's overwhelmed. There's books everywhere in my house, which is a very positive thing, but it just takes up a lot of space. And so I've gotten very much into checking books out of the library and using that resource. My local library also has it where I can pull up books on my phone, books or magazines. And so I've started reading a lot of the pattern magazines. I think it's called Pattern Pages, as well as sewing magazines. I'm going to share all of that with you. But I found a lot of cool independent sewing pattern companies that I didn't know a thing about. And so that is something I want to do more of, is kind of get away from the big four and get more into smaller independent pattern companies, especially when it comes to my more modern makes. So that is a thing. And here is my screen of me looking at the Pattern Pages magazine. It's called the Libby app that my library uses to be able to view these magazines. And so I've gotten really into this Pattern Pages one, as well as being able to pull up all the editions of the sewing magazine. It's just super cool. And I really, really enjoy being able to do this. And I found a lot of knowledge, information, inspiration, and using this app and looking at this magazine. So it's cool. And I'm really excited about it. I've checked out so many books lately and I've read so much, and I'm just feeling a lot more knowledgeable about history and vintage sewing and vintage style. And so that's been a lot of fun. So I haven't just been checking out books on vintage fashion, which I have been doing a lot of reading up on vintage fashion, but I also have been checking out a lot of books on historical fashion. It is something that I really, really want to get into, is historical sewing and wearing historical garments, but it's just something that I am a little bit intimidated by. And so I am trying to do all of the research that I can and all of the learning about the fashions before I get to cutting into fabric, because these outfits take so much effort and time and energy, and I definitely would love to complete one at some point. And so hopefully next year it's something that I get into. I know you just have to get started, but I've been a little intimidated, but I love this house dress and I think it might be where I want to start. I've also been reading books to help me to get to sort of the basics. I always sort of skip the foundation parts of things because I always want to just move on to the good parts. But I think when it comes to sewing or building any skill, really, you need a good foundation to start with. And so I've been picking up technique books and fitting books and those sort of things to really sort of perfect my craft instead of just making these so-so garments. Also, I've been looking at a lot of books put out by the Met Gala showing images of clothing garments that they have acquired and that they have featured in different exhibits. And so very cool resource with the Met Gala books. This is the Vogue's Metropolitan Museum of Art Costume Institute book, and the images in this book are just absolutely breathtaking. It featured a big exhibit on Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, and I just love having these images all in one place like this. It's super cool. In addition to books featuring certain designers like this Schiaparelli and Prada book, I picked up this book that is all about the iconic Chanel jacket. It features very detailed instructions on how to execute different elements of the jacket, suggests modern sewing patterns to purchase to make the jacket, and it is just a valuable resource if you want to make yourself one of those Chanel jackets. And that's definitely something that I do want at some point. And so I thought this book was just so cool. It even has a CD-ROM in it featuring everything. And so what a really, really cool book, and very detailed. I also would like to share with you some of the new sewing channels I've found. I am on YouTube, but I'm on YouTube because I started watching YouTube when I started sewing. And so there's been a lot of channels that have really helped me and grown my skills and that sort of thing. But I'm starting to look for smaller channels and really engage with them. And so when I do these videos every week, I would like to share at least one sewing channel that has less than 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully we can all hop over there and show them some love and some support. So in this first edition of Friday Sews, I'm going to be sharing Stitch Him Sew. I love this channel. She is so personable. You're gonna have to check it out. She has a little bit more than 1,000 subscribers, but I thought I'd share anyway. So I want to talk a little bit about the projects that I've been working on this week. So I began my 4th of July dress. It was actually supposed to be my Juneteenth dress, but it didn't get done in time, so it will be the 4th of July dress. If you watch my videos, you know that I always take on the holiday makes or the big event makes, and I usually never get them done in time. And so I'm excited for that dress. I'm using a modern pattern, but it's a very vintage-y style to me. So I'm using McCall's M7950 for that one. So this is that pattern, and I'm using view B with the cutout, and I got some star-shaped buttons. I think this is just going to be really cute, and my fabric that I am using is white with blue stars all over it, and so I think it's going to be so cute for the 4th of July. So stay tuned for the 4th of July video. That should be a lot of fun. What else am I working on? So I started probably a month ago a video in which I make two-piece sets, and that video and those makes have not been going the easiest. There's 2 skirts, 2 tops, and a petticoat that I'm making in that video, and one of the tops is a bustier, and it's just been a little tricky things going on there. And so I'm excited to hopefully get that completed this week and get it up sometime next week. I'll insert some footage so you can kind of see the chaos that is going on with that. It's been a thing. So here is progress on that bustier. I love this yellow Swiss dot fabric. I think it is going to be so cute if I ever get it completed. Bustier tops are not the easiest thing. Here I am working on those cut pieces that go in. I did do mock-ups for these things, and so I'm hoping that everything fits well. Both of the skirts are really big, and both of the sets feature yellow, and so here I am working on those skirts. In this clip, I'm putting the waistbands on, and the skirts are completed. They're just missing hook and eye closures, but the zippers and everything are already in. I just need to get the tops finished. I recently did a partnership with Halera.com. They sent me over a bunch of athleisure wear that I absolutely love. It's super convenient to have clothes that you can wear to work out or run errands or whatever. And so I was supposed to have that video up probably 2 weeks ago. I started editing it, and I just mentally wasn't in a space to post videos of me wearing very tight athletic wear. And so I'm working with myself on how I feel about myself and how I look. And hopefully I'll get that video uploaded soon. If you see that video, then you know that I'm in a more positive headspace when it comes to my body image. And so that's something I'm working on, and I'm hoping to post that video soon. It is nothing against Hilara at all, and I hope they're not mad at me, but it's just, the internet is a strange place, and especially to be so vulnerable in that way. So that is a thing. What else are we working on? Oh, I'm actually, for the very first time, using a pattern that I've already used before. I don't get to do that a lot because I do film my makes and post them here on YouTube, and nobody really wants to see me sew a pattern that I've already sewed. I'm using an authentic vintage pattern that I sewed in my Christmas video. Let me grab that. It is an authentic vintage sewing pattern, McCall's 3459. And here is that sewing pattern. If you want to see me sew this pattern, I will leave a link to the video below. And it came out really well when I made it before. I made it out of just some quilting cotton that in a really cheesy Christmas print. And so that was basically my wearable mock-up, and it did fit well. I do remember it fitting a little big, but it was a pretty simple make. And so I'm not filming the process of that make for YouTube. It's going to be over on Instagram. And so you'll be able to check that out in like a short reel or something over there. And so what else am I working on? I believe that to be it. Yep. So that's all I'm working on currently. I'm excited now that I have my sewing patterns more organized. I'm excited to do more videos. I had got a little uninspired, or just like creator's block, I guess. Everything in my sewing room was just so unorganized, and I didn't know what I wanted to sew, and I didn't really know what I had because my patterns were so unorganized. And so I'm excited now. I got to go through every single sewing pattern that I had, and so I'm excited to sew some things now that I see that I do have some things that I really, really like. And so, yeah. I think that's about it for our Friday sews. I look forward to doing more of these. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those in the comment box below. Give this video a like or share or all of those things. Let me know which is your favorite of the sewing patterns that just arrived this week and what you think I should sew first. And stay tuned for that video of me sorting through over 150 vintage sewing patterns. I do plan to, over the next couple of weeks, do the same for my vintage reproductions and my modern sewing patterns and that whole thing, and then finally be able to do a sewing room tour. So I'm looking forward to all of those things coming up. Maybe we'll do the sewing room tour for when I reach 5,000 subscribers. So I'm excited for all of the things coming here on this channel, and I appreciate you for being here. And I will see you in the next video that is soon and sure to come.